So today we are going to discuss about Comptroller and Auditor General of India, that is CAG. Recently Girish Chandra Murmu was appointed the next Comptroller and Auditor General of India, that is CAG. Now he was appointed the next CAG of India one day after he resigned as J&K Lieutenant Governor. Mr. Murmu had taken charge as Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor on 25th of October 2019, that is last year. Now to understand the importance of office of CAG, we should understand the opinion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar over the office of CAG. According to him, I am of the opinion that this dignitary or officer is probably the most important officer in the Constitution of India. He is the one man who is going to see that the expenses voted by the parliament are not exceeded or varied from what has been laid down by the parliament in the Appropriation Act. So these are the exact statements of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So from this statement itself we should understand the importance of office of CAG. Now about Comptroller and Auditor General of India. To understand the term first, we should bifurcate it as Comptroller and Auditor General. Now we all know that auditor is someone who checks the account, and Auditor General of India will be the one who checks all the account of Government of India. We also call him SAI, that is Supreme Audit Institution of India. So this is about Auditor General. Now coming to Comptroller. Comptroller is someone whose permission is required to take money out of country's exchequer, or like we have Consolidated Fund of India. However, in case of India, the functioning of Comptroller is not given to the CAG. But since we have copied the term and the terms from the Britishers, we have still retained the term CAG. However, the exact name or in practical, it should be only Auditor General of India. Anyway, the Constitution of India provides for an independent office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. He is the head of the Indian Audit and Accounts Department. He is the guardian of the public purse. We will study in the coming slides that how he is known as guardian of public purse, and controls the entire financial system of the country at both the levels, the center as well as the state. His duty is to uphold the Constitution of India and the laws of the Parliament in the field of financial administration. So, how the office of CAG has evolved over the year? Evolution of office of the CAG. The idea CAG evolved in British India in May 1858. For the first time, a separate department was set up with an accountant general who was responsible for accounting and auditing the financial transactions under the East India Company. In the Montfort reforms of 1919, the Auditor General became independent of government. So we can say that gradually the importance of Auditor General is increasing. The Government of India Act 1935, which is also a very important source for government of our constitution itself. The Government of India Act 1935 strengthened the position of Auditor General by providing Provincial Auditor General in a federal setup. Now many of you might not understand what we meant by this statement. So to check your understanding, write what you understand by this in the comment section. Comparing with CAG of the United Kingdom, CAG of India only performed the role of Auditor General and not of a Comptroller, as we have just seen. Whereas in Britain it has the power of both Comptroller as well as Auditor General. In India, the CAG audits the account after the expenditure is committed, that is, ex post facto. In United Kingdom, no money can be drawn from the public exchequer without the approval of CAG. So in India, CAG audits the account after expenditure is committed, that is ex post facto. So first statement you might understand, but this word itself might seems some difficulty in understanding. Ex post facto. So this means जैसे हमारे जो मिनिस्टर्स होते हैं, दे नीड मनी. मिनिस्टर्स मतलब मिनिस्ट्री जो होती हैं, दे नीड मनी for doing their work of the work that has been assigned to any particular ministry. For example, Ministry of Defense need 10,000 crore grant. So what they will do? They will discuss and debate all those issues in the parliament, because in our country legislature is supreme. Executive is responsible to legislature, because in India we are having legislature supremacy, where जो लेजिस्लेटिव है दैट इज़ बॉस, और जो हमारे एग्जीक्यूटिव हैं दैट इज़ सबॉर्डिनेट टू लेजिस्लेचर. सो होगा क्या है कि सबसे पहले मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस लोकसभा में डिबेट करेंगे, उस पर डिस्कशंस होंगे, देन वोटिंग होगी, एंड देन अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल पास होगा एज पर आर्टिकल 114, और ग्रांट दे दी जाएगी उस पर्टिकुलर मिनिस्ट्री को. नाउ दे कैन स्टार्ट एक्सपेंडिंग दैट मनी, जो भी उनका डेबिट क्रेडिट हो रहा है. But here the CAG can't interfere, because as I told you, in India executive is responsible to legislature and not CAG. Moreover, in India we are having legislative supremacy. Then when the role of CAG come, you might think that everything is only legislature is having supervision, but yes, the role of CAG comes at the end of financial year. CAG can only audit the account after expenditure is committed. This is also a limitation on the office of CAG. इसी को हम ex post facto बोलते हैं. That means CAG can audit the account only after expenditure has been done. Okay. Moreover, in India, CAG is not a member of Parliament, whereas in Britain, CAG is a member of House of Commons. जो वहाँ की पार्लियामेंट होती है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ इंडिया में लोकसभा और राज्यसभा हैं, ऐसे ही वहाँ पे हाउस ऑफ कॉमन्स एक हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड्स होते हैं. नो, दिस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग अबाउट CAG. दिस विल फॉर्म अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग फाउंडेशन फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग CAG इन डिटेल. नो, इन द पार्लियामेंट ऑफ इंडिया वी आर हैविंग two houses, Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. That question can be asked from you, that which is more strong in your opinion? Then obviously Lok Sabha is more strong over Rajya Sabha. Question comes why? Because Lok Sabha is directly elected by the people of India, whereas Rajya Sabha member of parliaments are indirectly elected. So Lok Sabha is more powerful, has more strong. So Rajya Sabha is weak compared to Lok Sabha. Moreover, Lok Sabha has control over the money wheel. लोकसभा के पास मनी पावर होती है, जिसको हम पावर ऑफ पर्स भी बोलते हैं. बट राज्यसभा डोंट हैव एनीथिंग टू डू विद पावर ऑफ पर्स. देन इफ वी गो इन दैट हायरार्की, ऑन द टॉप वी आर हैविंग लोकसभा, देन राज्यसभा. इसको हम कंप्लीट को अगर देखें तो इट कैन बी एग्जीक्यूटिव, बट स्टिल अगर इसको बाइफर्केट करें तो बिलो राज्यसभा वी विल हैविंग पॉलिटिकल एग्जीक्यूटिव, विच विल कंटेन प्रेजिडेंट, वाइस प्रेजिडेंट, प्राइम मिनिस्टर and other ministers, etc. Below it we will having permanent executive, जिसमें ब्यूरोक्रेट्स होंगे, और इसी में हमारे CAG भी होंगे, कंट्रोलर एंड ऑडिटर जनरल ऑफ इंडिया. नाउ अब क्वेश्चन आएगा कि लोकसभा में डिस्कशन हुआ, डिबेट हुई, अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल पास हुआ, तो फिर CAG का रोल क्या हुआ? CAG रोल कम्स एट द एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर, एज वी हैव डिस्कस्ड. जो भी एक्सपेंसेस पर्टिकुलर मिनिस्ट्री ने किया है, that will be audited by CAG at the end of financial year. इसी को हम डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस भी बोलते हैं. डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस. ओके, बिकॉज जो CAG है, CAG कैन कीप अ चेक ऑन लोकसभा. CAG कैन डायरेक्टली कीप अ चेक ऑन लोकसभा बाय फाइनेंशियल अकाउंटिंग, बट कब? एट द एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर ओनली. So this is a block diagram from which, with the help of which understanding will improve. For example, ये कोई particular ministry है, say ministry of culture है या कोई भी है. Now they need money, जिसको हम demand of grants बोलते हैं. सो वो कहाँ पे जाएंगे? दे विल अप्रोच लेजिस्लेचर. वाई? बिकॉज इन इंडिया वी आर हैविंग लेजिस्लेटिव सुप्रीमेसी. एग्जीक्यूटिव इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू लेजिस्लेचर एंड लेजिस्लेटिव हमारा बॉस है और जो एग्जीक्यूटिव है दैट इज सबॉर्डिनेट. एग्जीक्यूटिव इज आंसरेबल टू लेजिस्लेचर. सो मिनिस्ट्रीज जो हैं डिमांड ऑफ ग्रांट्स के लिए लेजिस्लेचर में जाएंगी, जहाँ पे डिबेट्स, डिस्कशन और वोटिंग होगी. आफ्टर दैट अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल विल बी पास्ड एज पर आर्टिकल 114. 114 आर्टिकल क्या बोलता है? दैट नो ग्रांट्स और फंड फ्रॉम कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ इंडिया कैन बी मेड without due appropriation by Lok Sabha. It doesn't deal with Rajya Sabha. That's why we told you that Lok Sabha is known as, Lok Sabha has the power of purse, and all those expenditure are approved by only Lok Sabha. जब ये अप्रोप्रिएशन बिल पास हो जाएगा एज पर आर्टिकल 114, तो ये मिनिस्ट्री को अप्रूवल मिल गया कि नाउ यू हैव बीन ग्रांटेड दिस मच अमाउंट, say 10,000 crore, and now you can spend that for the welfare of country, for the security of the country. Now in this situation CAG is not having any role, because CAG is not a financial advisor. He can't keep interrupting throughout the year. He can only audit at the end of financial year and submit it to the president, who will table it in the parliament. So this particular statement is very important for understanding the proper functioning of CAG. That executive is responsible to the legislature, not to the CAG. जो executive है वो legislature को responsible है, not to the office of CAG. CAG role is just to audit at the end of financial year, और जो भी reports होंगी he will submit it to the president and president will table it in the parliament. Now हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में 4 आर्टिकल हैं, 1 2 3 4. दैट मीन्स आर्टिकल 148, 149, 150 एंड 151. दे आर solely dedicated for the CAG. That means CAG must be having very high importance. That's why if we see in the Constitution of India, nearly 400 articles are there, and out of those 400 articles, 4 articles are dedicated for CAG, which is around 1% of our constitution. So that means CAG की importance बहुत ज़्यादा है. और वैसे भी हमने अभी स्लाइड्स में देखा था, अकॉर्डिंग टू डॉक्टर भीमराव अम्बेडकर एज वेल, दिस इज़ द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट ऑफिस. सो लेट्स सी इन आर्टिकल्स में क्या क्या गिवन है, क्या इनके प्रोविजंस हैं. सो आर्टिकल 148 जस्ट स्पीक अबाउट CAG, कि एक CAG होगा, उसका अपॉइंटमेंट कैसे होगा, उसकी ओथ्स, कंडीशन और सर्विस क्या होंगी. दिस इज गिवन इन आर्टिकल 148. एंड व्हाट आर्टिकल 149 में क्या है? व्हाट CAG कैन ऑडिट. बेसिकली इट इज स्पीकिंग अबाउट ड्यूटीज एंड पावर्स ऑफ द CAG. CAG कैन बेसिकली ऑडिट all the accounts of government of India, all the accounts of government of states of India, all the godown store houses of government of India. Even all the companies which are financed by government of India can also be audited by CAG. After this, one more thing that CAG can audit any other request which is made by President of India, that you have to audit this particular transactions or whatever, that is also carried by CAG. That's why there are 4 articles are dedicated for the office of CAG. Now आर्टिकल 150 ये क्या बोलता है? द अकाउंट्स ऑफ यूनियन एंड ऑफ द स्टेट्स शैल बी केप्ट इन सच फॉर्म एज द प्रेजिडेंट मे ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ CAG प्रेस्क्राइब. और आर्टिकल 151 बोलता है इट इज़ मैंडेटरी दैट CAG विल मेक अ रिपोर्ट एट द एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर एंड विल सबमिट इट टू द प्रेजिडेंट. नाउ जो वो प्रेजिडेंट को सबमिट कर देंगे तो प्रेजिडेंट क्या करेंगे? प्रेजिडेंट विल टेबल इट इन द पार्लियामेंट, एंड जब वो पार्लियामेंट में सबमिट कर देंगे तो पार्लियामेंट में जो लेजिस्लेटर्स हैं दे विल फॉर्म पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमेटी, जिसको PAC बोलते हैं. यू मस्ट हैव रेड इन फाइनेंशियल न्यूज़, वेन एवर यू रीड फाइनेंशियल न्यूज़ PAC कम्स वेरी ऑफन. सो नाउ यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड द पर्पज ऑफ PAC. सो जब प्रेजिडेंट उसको टेबल करेंगे पार्लियामेंट में उस रिपोर्ट को CAG की, तो पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमेटी बनेगी एंड ओनली लेजिस्लेटर्स विल फॉर्म दिस. पीएसी में 22 मेंबर्स होंगे, जिसमें कि 15 लोकसभा से होंगे और 7 राज्यसभा से होंगे। पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमेटी का एक चेयरमैन भी होगा, जो होगा अपोजिशन से, क्योंकि इसमें अपोजिशन से जो इसका चेयरमैन है अपोजिशन से है, सो इट एंश्योर कि इसकी जो प्रोसीडिंग्स हैं, जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट इससे देखना चाह रही है कि कोई इसमें स्कैम तो इन्वॉल्व नहीं है, सो उसमें ट्रांसपेरेंसी आएगी। बिकॉज अपोजिशन विल नेवर वांट के एवरीथिंग विल गो स्मूथली, दे वांट कि स्कैम है तो वो आए, एक्सपोज हो। सो चेयरमैन जो अपोजिशन के हैं, दे विल आस्क फ्रॉम एग्जीक्यूटिव इफ दे हैव एनी डाउट। इफ पीएससी इज नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, फॉर एग्जांपल पीएससी को कुछ डाउट है कि सीएजी रिपोर्ट के अकॉर्डिंग कि कहीं ना कहीं कुछ स्कैम इन्वॉल्व है, एंड उन्होंने एग्जीक्यूटिव से क्वेश्चन किया, इफ एग्जीक्यूटिव आंसर इट, और उनको समझ आ जाता है कि हाँ ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग इशू था इसलिए ये ऐसा है, बट इसमें स्कैम नहीं है, देन इट्स वेल एंड गुड। इफ पीएससी इज नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, देन ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट कमेटी विल फॉर्म। सपोज ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट कमेटी भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं होती उनके एग्जीक्यूटिव के आंसर से, देन दे कैन रजिस्टर एन एफआईआर अंडर प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन एक्ट 1988। इसको कौन करेगा? सीबीआई। वन मोर थिंग फ्रेंड्स, पीएससी को सीएजी हेल्प करते हैं रिव्यू द रिपोर्ट, बिकॉज जो रिपोर्ट बनती है दैट इज़ हाईली टेक्निकल, एंड यू ऑल अंडरस्टैंड जो हमारे मेंबर्स होते हैं पार्लियामेंट में, दे आर नॉट एज एजुकेटेड दैट दे कैन अंडरस्टैंड द निटी-ग्रिटी ऑफ अकाउंटेंसी, दे आर हाईली टेक्निकल स्टेटमेंट्स। तो सीएजी उनको हेल्प करता है पीएससी को टू रिव्यू एंड अंडरस्टैंड द रिपोर्ट। इसीलिए हम सीएजी को फ्रेंड, फिलोसोफर और गाइड भी बोलते हैं टू पीएससी। सो एक स्टेटमेंट अगर मैं बोलूँ, हु इज़ नोन एज फ्रेंड, फिलोसोफर, गाइड टू पीएससी, दैट इज पब्लिक अकाउंट्स कमेटी, द आंसर शुड बी सीएजी, कैग। सो अगर एक बार में हम समराइज करें तो होगा क्या कि सबसे पहले सीएजी रिपोर्ट प्रिपेयर करेंगे एट द एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर, वो प्रेसिडेंट के पास जाएगी, प्रेसिडेंट उसको पीएससी टेबल करेंगे पार्लियामेंट में, जहाँ पे पीएससी को सबमिट की जाएगी वो वाली रिपोर्ट। जो पीएससी कौन बनाएगा? सिर्फ लेजिस्लेटर्स कैन फॉर्म द पीएससी। इसका चेयरमैन कौन होगा? फ्रॉम अपोजिशन। नाउ जो पीएससी बनेगी, दे कैन आस्क, they can question the executive, the ministers, and ministers have to answer. That's why we have given the statement, executive is responsible to the legislature. Executive में आते हैं president, vice president, prime minister and other ministers. So जो PSC हैं, जो PSC में member हैं, chairman हैं, they will question the particular ministry, particular defense ministry for example. सो वो उसको आंसर करेंगे। इफ़ दे आर सेटिस्फाइड तो वेल एंड गुड, अदरवाइज ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट कमेटी को ये ट्रांसफ़र की जाएगी। इफ दे आर सेटिस्फाइड, वेल एंड गुड, अदरवाइज जेपीसी विल ट्रांसफर द केस टू सीबीआई एंड दे विल आस्क इन रजिस्टर एन एफआईआर अंडर प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन एक्ट 1988। सो जैसे 2G स्कैम हुआ था तो उसमें यही हुआ था, पीएससी वाज नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, जेपीसी वाज नॉट सेटिस्फाइड, अल्टीमेटली क्या हुआ? एफआईआर रजिस्टर हुई in CBI with under prevention of corruption act 1988. So I think you must have got some idea about it. Article 279 देखते हैं what it mention. Article 279 mention that calculation of net proceeds is ascertained and certified by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, whose certificate is final. So ये वही है जो calculations है, that is certified by CAG. Third schedule, section 4 of the third schedule of Constitution of India prescribes the form of oath or affirmation to be made by the judges of Supreme Court and CAG at the time of assumption of office. So जो हमने 148 आर्टिकल में देखा कि इसमें CAG की अपॉइंटमेंट और कंडीशन, ओथ ऑफ सर्विस, ये सब कहाँ पे गिवन है? ये गिवन है सेक्शन 4 ऑफ थर्ड शेड्यूल। नाउ इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ CAG इन इंडिया, बिकॉज डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर ने भी बोला है कि CAG इज़ द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट ऑफिस, सो इसकी इंडिपेंडेंस इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, इसकी सिक्योरिटी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। अदरवाइज इफ़ ही इज़ अ पर्सन हु कैन बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट, देन इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेंटेन द फाइनेंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इन एनी कंट्री. So for that, for effective functioning of this important institution of the CAG, सो बेसिकली यहाँ पे अगर हम देखें तो ये बता रहे हैं कि हाउ वी कैन प्रोटेक्ट द ऑफिस ऑफ CAG. सो क्योंकि इफेक्टिव फंक्शनिंग के लिए ऑफिस ऑफ CAG के इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट और इट इज़ वेरी पैरामाउंट टू एंश्योर इंडिपेंडेंस, जिसके लिए देर आर सेवरल प्रोविजंस विच आर एनश्राइंड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टू सेफगार्ड CAG इंडिपेंडेंस. He is appointed by the President by a warrant under his hand and seal, and his oath of the office require him to uphold the Constitution of India and the laws made under. So this is a self-explanatory statement. Second, he is provided with security of tenure. ऐसा नहीं है कि if he start interfering in the government of India, so government of India can remove him. No. हाँ, अगर if he start doing something which is against the Constitution of India, then he can be removed, no doubt over that. But he has been provided security of tenure, जिसमें कि he will be completing either 6 years or 65 year of age, जो भी पहले आ जाए, whichever is earlier. So जो he is provided is security of tenure, and he can be removed by the President only in accordance with the procedure mentioned in the Constitution, which is same as judges of Supreme Court. So can you imagine the importance that even the procedure of removal of CAG is similar to procedure of removal of Supreme Court judges. That's why it has got very paramount importance. Moreover, he is not eligible for further office either under the government of India or of any state after he ceases to hold his office. So इससे क्या इंडिपेंडेंस हुई? दैट मीन्स आप उसको कोई लालच नहीं दे सकते, गवर्नमेंट उसको कोई अनड्यू फेवर नहीं ले सकती, बिकॉज उसको कोई फर्दर ऑफिस मिल ही नहीं सकता एज पर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. ही इज़ नॉट एलिजिबल. सो दिस इज आल्सो मेकिंग इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ CAG इन इंडिया. Moreover, his salary and other service condition though determined the parliament, they cannot be varied to his disadvantage after appointment. So जो इनकी सैलरी होती है CAG की, they are charged upon consolidated fund of India. और जो इनकी सैलरी है that can only be increased, that can't be reduced under any condition. So that is also making independence of the office of CAG. Moreover, his administrative power and condition of the service of person serving in the Indian Audit and Accounts Department shall be prescribed by the President only after consulting him. The administrative expenses of the office of CAG, including all salaries, allowances and pension of persons serving in that office, are charged upon consolidated fund of India and are not subjected to the vote of Parliament. So this we have already discussed. Now, what are the functions of CAG? So we have already discussed, but still for your understanding, we will go through all the statements. He audits the account related to all expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India, Consolidated Fund of each state and union territory having a legislative assembly. He audits all expenditure from the Contingency Fund of India and the Public Accounts of India, as well as Contingency Fund and Public Account of each state. He audits all trading, manufacturing, profit and loss accounts, balance sheets and other subsidiary account kept by an department of the central government and the state government. He audits the receipt and expenditure of all bodies and authorities substantially financed from the central or state revenue, government companies, other corporates and bodies when so required by related laws. He advises the President with regard to prescription of the form in which the account of center and states shall be kept. He submits his audit report relating to the accounts of center to the President, who in turn places them before both the houses of Parliament. He acts as a guide, philosopher of the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament. This is very important. I have already explained this to you, that because he is making them understand about the technicalities of accountancy, because the member of parliaments are not so well conversant with the accountancy, so they need somebody who can explain them the reports. That's why CAG is helping them, and that's why he is known as guide, friend and philosopher of the Public Accounts Committee. He submits 3 audit reports to the president: audit report on appropriation accounts, audit report on financial accounts, and audit reports on public undertakings. What are the limitations of the office of CAG? Its report is post facto, that is after the expenditure is incurred, and has only prospective value in improving system and procedure. So throughout year CAG can't interfere in the expenses of any ministry. That's the limitation. He can only see when the expenditure has been incurred at the end of financial year. So this is a very big limitation also. Secret service expenditure is outside the purview of CAG, and he cannot call for particulars of expenditure incurred by the executive agency, but has to accept a certificate from the competent administrative authority that the expenditure has been so incurred. So secret service expenditure, I hope you all understand what we meant by secret service. There is no provision for auditing of funds that are given to an NGO and elected local bodies. Today NGOs have become a conduit for multitude of government schemes. It does not have the full authority to audit the PRI and ULBs also. So this is also a big So यहाँ पे PRI का मतलब है पंचायती राज इंस्टीट्यूशन और ULB means urban local bodies. So they don't have full authority to audit PRIs and ULB also. So these are basically three limitations on the office of CAG. So we have discussed about CAG in very much detail. I hope you get some understanding about the office of CAG. What are its limitations, what are its importance, what are the functions of CAG, what's the exact meaning of the term CAG. So if you have still left with any doubt, you can definitely ask in the comment section. And if you have any doubt in any other topic as well, you can mention that too in the comment section. So we end our discussion here. Thank you friends, and have a good day.